Today, we're going to discuss creating special education, 504, INRS, and RTI referrals in real time. Most of this webinar will focus on the special education referrals since those are a bit more involved, and we'll briefly discuss the referrals for the other modules. Please keep in mind that this training is being recorded using our demo database, so the data is going to be different from what you'll see in your district's database. For an initial IEP referral, if the student is not already active on the case list, you'll need to create the referral to get them added. To do this, search for the student in the Student Data module by clicking the Student Data tab. In the Search Students menu, under Students, you'll select General. I know that the student I'm going to be using for our example today is last name Thomas, first name Jack. So I can either enter the student's name, their ID number, or I can narrow down the fields like the location, the grade level, and the groups. When you click Find Students, that will place you on the student personal data page. As long as your permissions are active for these settings, you'll see these buttons at the bottom of the student personal data page. If you don't see these buttons, please contact your district's real-time administrator for assistance. They can reach out to us with any questions. When you click Create Child Study Referral, the event type should default to Initial. If the student was previously referred, the event type would default to Transfer. If the student was previously classified, you will get a message letting you know that the original data will be overwritten if you continue with the new referral. If the student was declassified, this is what you would want to have happen, so you're fine to proceed if that's the case. The top of the events creation page will show the student's name and local ID number, as well as their current location. Select the child study team. That's going to be linked to the student's location. Once you select the child study team, you can then select who you want to assign as case manager. In the referred by options, if you check the box for the parent, this has to be set up in the student's contact page. That's done in the student data module. If there are any issues with student contacts and those settings, you can talk to one of your district administrators and they can contact us for assistance. With this student, I do have a contact labeled as parent, so I'm going to select them there. If I wanted to indicate that the student was referred by a staff member who is linked to the student, I can find them in this dropdown. If I wanted to indicate a counselor that is linked to the student's location, I can select them from this dropdown. I can even just check the teacher box, which is kind of a general check mark to say that a teacher referred the student, just as sort of a placeholder. If you're unsure the specifics as to who referred the student, you can come back to this page at any time. You can also list a third party and an agency. If the student was referred perhaps by a doctor or something like that, you can put that here in the free type text box. Your list of agencies can be found in your district's libraries, and that can be maintained on the front end. Please contact us for any assistance with that. At the bottom of the page, you'll see you have an option to indicate whether the student was a referral from early intervention. For these purposes, I will leave that set to no. You can also indicate your reasons for referral. I'm going to skip over that part for now so we can come back and see what happens when we miss any data on this page. The initial written referral date will automatically populate as the current date, but you can change that using either your calendar icon or you can manually change the date. When you click Submit Referral, it's going to kind of yell at you here and let you know that there is something missing on this page. So this clearly indicates that I'm missing at least one referral reason. I'm going to click OK, and now I can go back to select my referral reason. This is district definable, these reasons that you see in here. If you have any questions about getting those changed, your administrator can contact real time or let us know if there's anything we can do to change those for you. So I'm just going to indicate academic deficits and delays and behavior. I can also check the other box if I want to free type a referral reason. Once I click Save, those reasons will be added to this page, and I will click Submit Referral to get that submitted. This pop-up will let you know that submitting the referral will update these specific fields. It's going to update the case manager, the child study team, the initial written referral date, and the indication of early intervention. Are you sure you want to continue? I'm going to click OK here. And later in this video, I'll show you where that data ends up on the student's record. That's all the information that gets reported to New Jersey Smart. And once you create this event, you are able to access the event's creation page again by clicking Event Creation Details. So you see this is the same page you were on previously, where you can check the teacher box, or if you find out that it's some other referral, you can then change that indication. I'm going to select the parent for our purposes here. And you can also make changes to the initial written referral date, and any reasons for referral can be changed here. When I click Save, it's going to give me the same warning that populated before to make sure I'm aware that saving this page will overwrite anything I've done here. When you submit the referral, the case manager selected on the events creation page will be notified that the student's been added to their case list. They will receive an internal real-time notification, which is indicated by the flashing green envelope in the upper right corner. And as long as their settings permit, they will also receive an email message in their school's email. When the case manager receives their notification that a student has been added to their case list, they can then access the student under Special Ed, Case Management. Under Case Management, they would select Case List. And just like in the student data search, you can use any combination of these fields to search for the student. So I'm going to search for Jack Thomas and display list. This will show me any student with the name I just entered. It'll indicate the open events, which you can clearly see there is an initial open now for this student. If I click on their name, it'll take me to the Special Ed student summary page. That's where I can see any open events the student has. I can click the initial to access that page again. And that's where I can also access the events creation page to make any changes here. So the case manager will always have access to that as well if someone else is creating these referrals initially and then giving them over to the case managers. The case manager does still have the ability to come back to this page. Now that the student's on your case list, I'm going to show you where you can see the data that was entered for that student. The case manager has access to this Special Ed student summary page, and a quick little tip here is you can click the student's name to take you to the student data module. This will bring you to the student personal data page. You can also search for the student again under student data, search students, students general. On that student personal data page, you'll see all of these tabs to the left. You'll select federal and then IEP. And this is the data that we entered for the student. So you see the initial written referral date I've entered. I indicated the student was not a result of early intervention. This is the child study team I've added them to, and this is the case manager assigned. From here, we are going to look at creating a transfer. Bring the student back up under student data. So if you are on this page, you would just select their personal tab and view maintain. And then you'll select the Create Child Study Referral button. This is the same button you would use for initial referrals. This can also be used for your transfer in students. This system will let me know that the student appears to have been referred to child study previously. That's because we're working on the same student for whom we've already created that initial referral. I'm going to say OK to that because I am aware that this is happening. The event type is going to be transfer. There, it'll indicate if the student already is on a child study team, it'll indicate their current case manager. You would still need to select a child study team and a new case manager from the dropdown in order to proceed. The data on this page is the data that will be reported to New Jersey Smart. Anything that comes from the IEP that the student transferred to you with can be entered on this page. You can only enter whatever you're provided, but it is strongly suggested to enter everything, whether you have to obtain that from the parents, the student's previous school, their document that you received when they transferred in, whatever the case may be. However you can obtain that data, the more the merrier, because ultimately you will be responsible for reporting this data to the state for this student. So you can enter any of the information you have there. If you want the IEP the student transferred in with to be viewable when you upload it to the student's record, they do have to have a special ed classification. You can click the Please Select dropdown to select one of the student's classifications. If they have something such as multiple disabilities, you can also select those classification details. If you have the PDF document of the student's IEP, you can indicate here that an IEP was provided. The file that you upload for the student to become their IEP, which will be visible by teachers and staff when they click the IEP icon, must be named the student's ID number. You can find their local ID number at the top of the events creation page. For this student, 912161. I'm going to show you how you would save that document by looking at just the help document for the events creation page. If I click on that, I know this is a PDF document, so I'm just going to use this as an example and pretend that it's the student's IEP. So I'm going to download this document. I'm going to save it to my desktop here. And it will have to be named the student's ID number, which I can, again, access at the top of the events creation page. So I'm going to copy that to my clipboard. I'm going to save the document, and I'm just going to label it 912161, and the file type is PDF. So now that's saved there, and I can browse my computer to find the document that I need. If I uploaded the wrong document, I can click this Remove File link here to remove it and re-upload the correct document. But this should read the student's ID number.pdf. I can enter any other information I have or whatever information I can get from the student's IEP or from the parents or from the previous district. I can also indicate any related services the student might have. On this page, you can check the General Special Education Classes box to indicate any programs that they're in. For instance, if the instructional area is math, you can indicate when that would begin. So let's say the student started at the beginning of the school year, and it should end at the end of the school year. This student has this instructional area once a day. Pull-out resource program for 25 minutes, let's just say. This can all be maintained. These are all different settings that are specific to your district, so just let us know if anything needs to be added to any of these drop-downs. But this is where you're going to indicate the type of program the student is attending for their general and special education classes. You can also come down to the related services checkbox. If the student should be receiving related services while the district is writing their 30-day IEP, you can indicate that here. Saving this page with the providers selected will also launch an auto message to those providers to let them know that a student is now available on their service provider log. So this is where you can indicate that, and they can start receiving their services immediately while you're waiting to finalize your event with your new 30-day IEP. The drop-down of related services is, again, something that can be maintained by each district. It's district definable, so just let us know if anything needs to be added to your drop-down. But this is where you can indicate the type of service. So I'm going to say the student receives counseling. The provider is Greg Ackerman. We're going to begin the services on the date that the student's IEP began. So that the IEP the student came in with, that begin date and that end date. When you write your new 30-day IEP, that will replace all of this when the event is closed and the document is posted. So I'm just going to say once a week here in the therapy room for 20 minutes, and we're going to call it 3 or less group size. I can do that for multiple services, multiple providers, different locations, frequencies, group sizes, and durations. I can also indicate if the student has special transportation needs by selecting any of these checkboxes here. Notice that it defaults to the transportation not required. So if the transportation is required, you'd want to select one of these other radio buttons, such as transportation mandated. Then you can indicate the date of those services. So we're going to use the IEP's begin and end date again. Once you save this page, the transportation services will be added to the student's record and you will be able to run reports on that. So if any of your transportation department, if they need that information immediately for the student while you're in the process of writing their 30-day IEP, you can begin that reporting right away by submitting this. Additionally, if the student came in with any evaluations, if parents provided a speech evaluation or anything like that, or the school the student came from provided those evaluations, you can check the evaluations provided box. You can indicate which evaluation type it is, when you received it, what the report date was, and then if you've accepted that document. So we can do this here. So I'll just say the report date was 4/29/21, and then I can find the file on my computer. Now, because this file is not specific to the IEP, I can name it whatever I want to. It doesn't have to be named the student's ID number. So I'm just going to use this document since I already have it saved on my computer. But again, it does not have to be named the student's ID number. You can call it educational, eval, JAC, whatever you want to name that is perfectly fine as long as it's a PDF format. When I click Submit Referral, it's going to let me know that either an initial IEP meeting date or an annual IEP review meeting date must have a value when the special education classification is filled in. The special education placement must also be filled in when the special education classification is filled in. Would you like to continue? So while that's telling me the state would expect that information to be there, it's not going to prevent you from creating the event without entering that information. So I'm going to click OK to that. It'll give you a warning again, letting you know that the student already had data on their federal IEP tab, their New Jersey Smart reported data. By creating this event, you run the risk of overwriting that data with what you've placed on this page. I'm going to click OK to that. And then this will let you know all the fields that are being updated as a result of submitting this transfer. I'm going to click OK to that. Just as with our initial referral, the very first link at the top of the event outline will always take you to the event's creation page. So you can click here, Move In/Transfer Event, to access the page you were just on. So while there's no rush to enter the New Jersey Smart information for the student, it's advisable to enter that as soon as you're able to, as soon as you have access to that information. And whoever is responsible for creating these events or the case manager, whoever has access to this, can enter this data at any time. Keep in mind that it is referring to the data based on the IEP the student came in with. None of these dates should match what you are doing for the student in your district. So for instance, the annual IEP review meeting date should be their last annual review IEP meeting date. I'm just going to click Save here because I know that we've already made our changes. And I can click OK. Anything that was uploaded on that page, those evaluations, the student's IEP, can be accessed on the Special Ed Student Summary page. A little quick tip is if you click Student Summary, it'll bring you immediately to the Special Ed Student Summary page where I can see the initial that I created and the transfer that I created, and it indicates that those events are open. You'll see an IEP upload also sitting there. That was created, closed, and posted as a result of me uploading their IEP document in the transfer event. Because I did that, you'll now see the student has an IEP icon. So that's going to be their uploaded IEP that they came in with when they transferred in. Any documents uploaded on the events creation page will be available on the completed eval/docs tab. Here you'll see the IEP we uploaded. You can click on the link and it'll show you the document you uploaded. You can also select the evaluations tab, and this is that educational evaluation I uploaded for the student. If you want to access the student data module again to find the student and create a 30-day review, you can click the student's name, and the event would also be created by clicking the Create Child Study Referral button. It depends on your district settings which event types you have active. Some districts will opt to not have the transfer event and only have the 30-day review event. The difference between the two events is the transfer event allows you to also have a planning and/or eligibility meeting if the student needs to be evaluated within the 30 days when they enter the district. The 30-day review event only contains the 30-day IEP meeting. So that narrows it down a bit, and it is a little more streamlined to just drafting the IEP. So the events work exactly the same way. The screen looks the same. You would have to select the child study team and the case manager, enter any of their New Jersey Smart data, upload any evaluations, enter any related services, any general or special education classes. Any evaluations that were provided can be uploaded here. And if you want to enter a reason for submitting the referral, you can, but there are other places all throughout the system and throughout the event that you're going to be indicating that. This box here is really just for your own purposes if you want to see that. Now we can go over creating a 504 referral. Just as with the special ed referrals, we can search for the student under student data, search students, students general. I'm going to bring up my example student, Jack Thomas, again. And for 504s, you'll see Create 504 Referral. When you click on that button, the event type will automatically populate as initial. You can also select a 504 transfer event. For now, we'll concentrate on the initial, where you see you can indicate which 504 team the student will be on and which 504 coordinator they'll be assigned to. The 504 coordinator will be notified that this event was created and the student was added to their case list. You can also say who referred the student. Again, this is involving their contacts in the student data module. You can indicate the staff member linked to the student, whoever referred them, any counselors linked to this student's location, or any of these other referred by reasons you choose. The initial referral date can be changed just as with the ones in the special education module. And then your disabling conditions can be selected here as well. This is from your district's library and can be edited. Things can be added to this and it can all be maintained on the front end. Please just let us know if anyone needs any assistance with that. But I'm going to indicate what the disabling conditions are. And I also have a free type option, so I can free type a disabling condition if it's not already in the list. I'm going to click Save. That will add that there. If I have a diagnosis date for the student, I can add that too, but it's not a requirement in order to proceed. I'm going to pretend that we do have one, and I'll add it there for our student. I'm going to click Submit Referral. This is letting me know the 504 coordinator and team will be updated as well as the initial referral date. Am I sure I want to continue? Yes, I am. So I clicked OK. That created the event, and I can still access the event's creation page by clicking 504 team case. If I need to make any changes to who referred the student, I can also change the coordinator while the event is still open. I can change the initial referral date, any of the disabling conditions, and the diagnosis date on this page if need be. Now we'll discuss creating a 504 transfer event. I'm going to search for my student. At the bottom of the student personal data page, I'm going to click Create 504 Referral again. This is just letting me know that the student is already active in the 504 module. This is because we just created an initial for that student. So we're going to ignore this warning for these purposes, but if this pops up, you may want to double check the case list and make sure you aren't doing more work and you already have them on the case list. So I'm going to click OK here. And then the event type, I can change to transfer 504. Just as with the initials for 504s, I can select the 504 team, the coordinator, any disabling conditions. I can enter a diagnosis date if I have it. And I can put the initial referral date if I have that there. If I want to upload the student's 504 document, I can do that here. I can check the 504 provided box and browse to find the PDF document that is named the student's local ID number, which can be found at the top of the events creation page here. I know that I have a document already saved on my desktop that's labeled the student's ID number, so I can upload that here. I can also indicate if the student is receiving any related services. If the student has counseling, OT, PT, speech, whatever they receive, I can indicate here. And the service provider will be notified that the student was added to their service provider log, and they can begin logging sessions. I can indicate start and end date for services. The frequency, type of program location, duration, and the group size. When I click Submit Referral, it's going to let me know what will happen by creating this event. First of all, it's letting me know the student already has data on the Federal 504 tab. So by creating this Transfer 504 event, we run the risk of overwriting or deleting any information that is already there. So I know that we are starting fresh with this student, so I'm okay with that, and I'm going to click OK. If you want to see where this data is housed, you can click Student Summary. Then you can click the student's name again to access the student personal data page. Then you can select Federal on the left, 504. And this is where it's going to indicate if the student has an implemented 504 plan or not. It'll show you the initial referral date you entered, the student's current 504 team, and any coordinator assigned. It'll also list any of the related services you assigned to the student. The student also has a 504 icon now that the teachers can use to view their plan. Now we'll go through creating an INRS referral. You're going to search for the student in the student data module again. Since we're already here for my student, I can just go to the personal tab and view maintain. And then I'll click Create INRS Referral. The event type should default to initial. On this page, I can indicate what team I want the student to be on, who the coordinator will be, and who referred the student. I can enter the student's referral date using the calendar icon, or I can manually enter it here. I can list the reasons for the request for assistance, and I can select any prior interventions. All of these fields are maintained in the district, and we can make any changes. Mostly this is something that would be done by your real-time administrator, but just let us know if anyone has any questions and we're happy to help. Once I submit this referral, it's letting me know it's going to add the INRS coordinator, the INRS team, and an initial written referral date to the student's record. I'm going to say OK to continue. So now the event is created. I can access the events creation page to make changes if I need to any of that information here. Now that the student is on my case list, I can access them under Departments, INRS. Under INRS Case Management, I would go to INRS Case List and search for my student. If I click on their name, that'll bring me to their INRS student summary page where I can see their initial is there and open. If you have access to the other modules and the student happens to have previously had an IEP and or 504 referral, you can also access that information right here on the student summary page for any one of the modules. Of course, this will depend on your access, so if you have any questions about that, please talk to your administrator and let us know if they have any questions. Finally, we'll go through creating an RTI referral in real time. Once again, you're going to bring the student up in the student data module. That's where all of your initial referrals will begin. I'm going to click Create RTI Referral, and this is where the event type will default to initial. I can select their RTI team and a new coordinator. I can enter their referral date. I can select from the prior intervention checklist. And I can indicate any of the referral reasons. These tiers and all of these options are district definable and can be maintained on the front end. Just let us know if you have any questions about maintaining those. Once I click Submit Referral, the student will be added to the RTI case list, and the coordinator will be notified that the student is now active on their case list. Thank you all for joining me today. Please utilize our knowledge base for more information. You'll find that by clicking the question mark in the upper right corner, the question mark in the square. Under the real-time knowledge base, you can select help documents, you can view our video library, and you can find some reference sites and helpful email broadcasts and downloads. They're very helpful. They have step-by-step assistance for each of the features in real time. Please just let us know if you have any questions. Reach out to your real-time administrator for any assistance, and they can contact support with any help. I hope you all have a lovely day.